Okay, in today's video, we're going to be looking at the 4-3-3 formation. We're going to look at structure, how we play out, the midfield structure when we're in possession, the ability to create wide overloads in possession as well, and the benefit this formation gives us in that area. And then we're going to look at attacking the half space and the golden zone, and then we'll finish on our structure and our shape out of possession as well. So just very clearly and quickly on structure. So we've got a goalkeeper, right back, two centre halves, 4 and a 5, left back. We've got a 6 who sits deeper. We've got 2 8s in front of them, left wing, right wing, and a striker. So 4-3-3. So in terms of playing out and how we play out from the back, you've got two options for me. This is my personal preference, right? So if you set up with 2 centre backs that split, that gives their attacking 4. So there maybe one midfielder's jumped. I'm going to assume that the opposition is a 4-2-3-1. So they're 10, they're 2 wide players, and their striker could either choose to overload the top end of the pitch. So they're looking to put immediate pressure on when you play out to either centre back. I.e., if the ball went there, they could press straight away, and then you're in a little bit of trouble. They're pressing down the passing lane, and you're just going to play into trouble because the press is on. Or you could have the opposition choose to come back and mark these fullbacks. And just an important point in terms of how I'd set up: 2 centre backs that split, fullbacks are high to create the passing angles. The pivot's going to drop in at the centre. The centre of the 18-yard box on the edge, and then we want to essentially pin the opposition back 4 in. So the 2 wide players are looking to pin in the fullbacks. Striker's going to look to occupy 2 centre halves, and our midfielders, our 2 8s, are going to look to occupy their 2 pivot midfielders. So that means we've got 2 options: we go short or we go to the fullbacks. Is my preference, and that all depends on how the opposition set up to press. So like I say, if they do set up to press heavy, from the goalkeeper, we want to come directly into the fullback. That dink should be available there to come straight into the fullback. If the opposition choose to play it safe and they come back and they choose to look after these fullback areas, then we can play to the split centre half. They can drive a little bit, and now our intent is to try and tilt the opposition. The striker's going to come towards this way, the 10's going to come this way, they're going to tuck in slightly, and we're going to attract pressure on this side of the pitch, and that should give us the ability to switch out and to come out to this hand side, okay? So if we're playing short, the centre-back that has it drives, attracts pressure, tilts the opposition, and then we play out the opposite side. And that's only if the opposition have looked after our fullbacks. If the opposition have got a heavy press on, we should have an overload in this wide area for the fullback to just be dinked to on either side, okay? It might be that they decide to look after one here, put them across and tuck that player in. In that case, we come the opposite way, okay? So that's how I'd play out from the back. 2 really clear options. If the opposition are pressing heavy with their front 4, we dink over the first line of pressure and we go to the fullbacks. If they decide to look after the fullbacks and leave us with the overload, so we've got a positive overload when we play out, we play to the centre-backs, look to tilt the opposition and then come out the other side when we switch play. Okay, so that's playing out from the back. In terms of in possession in our midfield when we've got possession, so I would go from a 4-3-3 and I'd turn that into a 4-1-4-1. Okay, so what that does is gives us lots of really nice passing angles and overloads at the top end of the pitch. We've got a pivot who can dictate and control play. We've got a striker that's the peak of that diamond, and you can see we've got a natural diamond shape there. So if the ball was to be played through midfield, we should be able to overload that area nicely. And then with the wide players, that striker just has to move slightly to that way if the ball's on this side, and we create some nice passing triangles here. If the striker does move that way, that allows one of the 8s to go and make that run and be the 9 and get into the box and cause problems. And similarly on the far side, if they was to make that run, maybe a channel run, create a passing triangle, we can overload in this wide area, and the opposite 8 can look to make that run as well. So I think those 4 players in behind the striker are really, really powerful. You've almost got 2 10s at that point. Your 8s turn into 2 10s. in behind the striker, and if the ball does go centrally, then again, just look, you've got lots of triangles and passing diamonds, etc., to be able to play through in that area. So just to be really clear, when we've got the ball, I'd want my 2/8s to turn into 2/10s and be as part of a front four with the 2 wide players. The base and the peak of that diamond is the 6 as the pivot player and the 9 as the striker. And then if we do need to come back and through support, we can do that through our back line to come out the other side. But we should be overloaded centrally, and then we should be able to overload both centrally and in wide areas. Okay. I just want to highlight the way that we can overload in wide areas as well. So I've just shown you that if the striker comes that way, we can overload in this area. We can overload against a fullback here. But we've also got an overload with a fullback, so we're going to get fullback support. So if the striker didn't come that way, and say we've got a one-on-one situation here, again, the fullback can come and support, and we've got triangles in that area. Or if the fullback was to get past them, again, we can get round in that area. So we've got wide overloads with fullback, winger. We've got the 8 that comes across to create a triangle here, so we should have an overload there. And then we've also got the striker that can come and do that with the 8 and the 11 as well there to create overload. So we've got 4 players that can come and really dominate that half space area here and look to really hurt an opponent out wide. Just to highlight this with the half space and the golden zone marked. So we've got lots and lots of nice entries into the half space. So if the 11's got the ball here, it might be a simple, if it comes into the 8, there runs then into the half space, strikers in the golden zone for a cutback. Or it could, if the strikers come across to create the point of the diamond, they could have played out wide here. The 8 could be then getting into this area to cut back for the opposite 8 to get into the golden zone area. So we've got lots and lots of flexibility there in terms of how we. Sorry, I've got them mixed up there. We've got lots and lots of flexibility in terms of how we overload in wide areas and how we attack that half space, because that's the danger area, and how we get cutbacks from that half space area into the golden zone. And we've not just got the striker that can end up in that area. We've got these 2 8s that can get into that area as well. And then we've got the player from wide as well that can try and get into that area. So we've got an overload in all areas. But if we do get the ball out wide, our emphasis is trying to get into these areas here and trying to get a cut back into this area here, okay? So if we're attacking the half space, using the overload to enable us to get through by a 3rd man run into the half space, and then we should have a chance for goal. Out of possession, so I've layered in the opposition here. So obviously we want to be really compact. And again, it's almost a 4-1-4-1. So I would probably see a 4-3-3 more as a 4-1-4-1, both in and out of possession. I mean, you're talking meters on a tactics board for that, but I think it gives us a much more natural feel to how we want to operate and deliver our principles. So I think these indicators work really well, and a good way to translate to people when you're talking about compact is imagine you've got a piece of string that connects you, because what we really want to be careful of is these distances between fullbacks and centre-backs, between the centre-backs and between the opposite fullback as well. Same with midfield, the distances between those players is really, really important. We're trying to discourage them from playing through, and we're trying to make them play around. Because the opposition have 3 ways to get through us, right? They can either go over us, that's risky. They can either go through us, we're too compact, they're going to struggle, we might turn the ball over. So they've got to go round, but that's really predictable. We've forced that, we can anticipate that, and then we can tilt and try and turn the ball over on the far side of the pitch as well. But there's going to be some movement with that compact block. Where it becomes interesting in a 4-3-3 is you've got a 6 here whose job is to screen the centre-backs and stop that ball coming into the striker here. And then you've got a striker as well who's looking to, through shadow pressing, and there'll be some joined up play here in terms of how we press and the triggers we press on, but they can really screen the ball into that pivot midfielder. If we're being passive and we're stopping and we're trying to stop the opposition play, if we do try and force a press, this striker might do a shadow press here, looking to curve their run around. That's forcing the ball to come this way. They're then pressing down this passing lane here, and I'd expect this 8 to come and jump. This 8 to come and jump and come down the passing lane there, and then this other opposite 8 can lock on, and then we're really compact then again, and we've got an overload around the ball, and we could probably win that ball back. Their only option then is to probably pop one into the channel or to play long, because we're blocking all the passing lanes all the way through. So these two players, he's got screening responsibility, or she's got screening responsibility here. And again, if you see, if they get attracted out, all of a sudden that ball can be played directly through into that striker, which is a really dangerous ball. I'd want that all day long. So they've got screening potential there, especially if this 8 has jumped and gone down the passing lane. This player's had to come and lock on. The 6's ability to come and then jump and screen that direct ball into there is really important. So everybody has to move together, but the principles of we stay compact and we stay together are really, really important. Okay, so hopefully that was useful. It's a really quick video, just my thoughts on the 4-3-3. Let me know what you think in the comments. Thank you.